Hello hunters, and welcome to our all-in-one greatsword guide for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. In this video, we'll take a look at all the changes to our weapon since the base game, as well as the new switch skills, and how they affect the optimal loadout and playstyle of the greatsword. During this guide, we'll be using PlayStation buttons to show the controls for the new moves. This is where the relevant buttons are located. Just remember this and you'll be able to apply the controls to your own controller type. And don't worry, this guide is spoiler-free, meaning we will not show the final boss or any of the post-game content. Let's get right into it. First, we'll quickly go over the greatsword buffs that happened in the pre-Sunbreak patch. Here you can see all of the motion value changes. Interestingly, TCS, despite already being the strongest move, got buffed even more. Some of the weaker moves got significant buffs as well, but this won't really change how the weapon plays. We also had a few functionality changes. Rising Slash no longer launches other players. Thank you, Capcom. Hunting Edge also received some buffs. It can now be followed up with a strong charge slash by pushing the left stick and triangle after either of the aerial follow-ups. After a charged plunging thrust, you can even do a special SCS by starting the attack while your greatsword is stuck in the ground. This strong slash will charge faster depending on the plunging thrust's charge level. Lastly, Hunting Edge only costs one wire bug now. This is a welcome change, as this skill was nowhere near strong enough to justify the 2 wire bug cost. Sadly, the one change we were hoping for didn't happen. TCS's first hit can still trigger non-flinch thresholds. Before we get into all the new and flashy switch skills, there is a very important move we must talk about: the scroll swap. In Sunbreak, you can carry 2 sets of switch skills on yourself thanks to the new scroll system. You can change between the red and blue scrolls by pressing L2 plus triangle plus circle anytime you're not locked in an attack. Just like the silk binds, the scroll swap can cancel recovery animations unless you get past a certain part of the animation, at which point you'll be unable to perform the move. Pressing the roll button right after changing scrolls will cause your hunter to do a special evade, which will unsheath your weapon if it's not already out. Jumping sideways will make you face towards the direction you came from. This move counts as a regular roll, and thus can be followed up with a tackle by pressing triangle. Next, we'll take an in-depth look at the new switch skills, starting with the Backslide. This skill replaces Power Sheath with a new evasive Silkbind move, which can be executed whenever you're not locked in an animation or while charging. Unlike Power Sheath, Backslide can only be done backwards in a 120-degree angle. It also keeps your weapon drawn, turns you towards the direction you came from, and can be followed up with an attack, which deals Wyvern Ride damage. This move has about 0.8 seconds of iframes, which is 6 times the regular roll and more than twice of the Power Sheath iframes. Backslide has a very interesting feature. If you do it during the recovery animation of a charged attack or surge slash, it'll let you continue into the next charged or surge slash while keeping your charge level. Here is a complete list of moves that this gimmick works with. Sliding after any other move will simply reset your combo and charge levels. Executing Backslide while charging will cause you to skip your current attack and be forced into the next one while carrying over your charge progress. Fun fact, with this method, your weapon keeps charging for a few frames during the slide itself. Backsliding from a charge will also cause your follow-up attack to come out about half a second quicker compared to doing it from a recovery animation. When you're already at level 3, make sure not to hold the attack button after sliding, as you'll overcharge. Simply tap the button for a level 3 attack. This switch skill offers a lot of iframes and a new counter mechanic, but has numerous drawbacks. First, you're giving up 10% raw damage by dropping Power Sheath. Second, executing a TCS punish with the slide requires a bit of setup, because you have to either charge up or execute a preferably level 3 SCS beforehand. This long setup can only be done reliably against heavily telegraphed attacks, which greatly limits the Backslide's utility. The counterattack after sliding from a recovery animation comes out very slowly, so not only do you need a long setup, but also a very long opening to make it work. The charge version is quicker, but you only have the time frame of having level 3 charge to slide into a quick level 3 TCS punish. Only being able to slide backwards and having to slide away in the first place makes Backslide rather awkward to use in general, and you can easily end up out of range for the first hit of TCS. Not to mention that Greatsword received another counter switch skill, which is quicker, requires less setup, and does much more damage. The Surge Slash combo replaces Charge Slash with a new combo consisting of 3 quick, uncharged attacks. There are 3 different attack types to choose from. Press triangle to do a falling slash, circle for vortex slash, and triangle plus circle for rising slash. Each attack type has 3 levels, depending on when you do them during the combo. The first attack will always be the level 1 version, the second one level 2, and the third level 3. While in the combo, you can very slightly turn between attacks with the left stick. Each attack type has a different purpose. Falling Slash has high raw DPS, Vortex Slash has a meaty elemental modifier, and Rising Slash does a lot of part break damage. In addition, some of the moves have special properties. Falling Slash 1 has 2 variations. The running version can be done after a roll, or with your weapon sheathed by pushing the left stick in a direction and pressing the attack button. This also means that you'll lose the ability to tackle after rolling while using this switch skill. Falling Slash 3 also has 2 variants. The quicker, weaker one can only be done after Falling Slash 2 by immediately pressing triangle. The stronger version, where your hunter punches the sword into the ground, can be done automatically after a level 2, Vortex, or Rising Slash. Or after Falling Slash 2 if you wait for your hunter to take a step back before pressing the attack button. Vortex Slash 2's second hit does blunt damage with a KO value of 25, which is less than a level 1 tackle, and Vortex Slash 3 gives you hyper armor. After chaining together any 3 of these attacks, you can continue into a special strong charged slash, which charges 50% faster than usual. From here, you can either continue your combo as usual, or press both attack buttons while leaving the left stick in neutral to go back into Rising Slash 2. Surge Slash requires a very different playstyle compared to what we're used to. The only way to skip the Surge combo to quickly reach TCS is by doing the guard, kick, tackle shortcut using aerial attacks or ACS. We're clearly not meant to rely on TCS with this switch skill equipped. Surge Slash requires us to stay aggressively on top of the monster and punish every single opening. We have decent mobility with the forward Falling Slash and the first 2 Rising Slash moves, but once we start attacking we can barely move and are vulnerable to enemy attacks. The Backslide switch skill can help this issue with its iframes and mid-combo mobility. Overall, the Surge combo is a fun, alternative way to play greatsword, but it is of course a lot weaker than the new and improved TCS playstyle. Executing a full Surge combo takes a while, and monsters won't stand in one place to let you do it, unless they're crabs. Combo GS is also very sharpness inefficient, meaning you have to pick weapons with long sharpness bars, or rely on skills that improve sharpness management. And last, but definitely not least, we have the biggest game changer. Guard Tackle on steroids, aka Strongarm Stance, is a 2 wirebug counter move that replaces Hunting Edge or Adamant Slash. Like the other Silkbinds, Strongarm Stance builds the Wyvern Ride status, can be performed in any direction by using the left stick, and can cancel the recovery animation of our attacks. When it comes to activating this skill, we have 2 options. You can either use it like the other Silkbinds by pressing L2 and triangle whenever you're not in an attack animation, or by pressing L2 in the middle of charging. Upon activation, your hunter will enter a guarding stance, which can defend against most attacks, including statuses and pins. While you're in Strongarm Stance, you'll be locked in one place, unable to do anything. Starting from the very beginning of the animation, you have an approximately 1.66 second window during which you'll automatically parry the first attack that hits you. This works with bombs and your teammates' attacks as well. Parrying counts as a block, meaning it can trigger skills such as offensive guard and defense grinder, but it doesn't drain sharpness and is unaffected by knockback. It's important to mention that you're only protected from the front and sides while guarding, and that some monster attacks can't be blocked without guard up. After parrying, your hunter will go into a recovery animation, during which you get hyper armor. Pressing triangle at any point during the short animation will cause you to counterattack. The hyper armor period is very useful, as you can use it to deal with multi-hit attacks and to delay your counter if needed, such as when a monster's weak spot isn't immediately in range after they finish their attack. If you want to counterattack as quickly as possible, you can hold the attack button during the parry, which lets you skip the hyper armor state. Now here comes the interesting part. If you started Strongarm Stance from neutral, your counterattack will be a level 3 charged or Surge Slash. However, if you triggered it while charging, you'll be able to immediately go into a level 3 TCS. In addition, the counterattack after a successful parry gets a motion value multiplier, with TCS getting an insane 35%. This makes Strongarm TCS the new strongest move in the entire game. The counter TCS is not only stronger than a regular one, but it's also a lot quicker to set up. This means that we'll be able to punish even the shorter openings with our most powerful attack. The only drawback of Strongarm Stance is that it requires 2 wire bugs to use. In order to pull off multiple counters in quick succession and maintain our ability to wirefall and power sheath without losing our ability to parry, we'll have to pick up a 3rd bug, which will essentially half the cooldown of our ability. If we try to fight with only 2 bugs, our weapon will feel rather weak and limited.
That's right, puny hunter. You are nothing without me. Nothing! Don't you ever forget that.
We'll talk about ways that we can counteract this later. Starting Strongarm Stance from neutral is very inefficient and should only be done as a last resort, such as when you're about to get hit right after attacking and there's no time to get into a charge. Parrying from a charge gives us access to our strongest move, but what's the fastest way we can set ourselves up for this? From sheath state, drawing into a charge while pushing the left stick in a direction is quicker than doing it while standing still. What about when we're locked in a recovery animation? After most attacks, we can simply go into the next charge slash and counter from there. In the case of TCS and Rage Slash, however, we can't do this, as they are at the end of our combo chain. This is where the new scroll swap move comes in, which, as we said earlier, can cancel recovery animations. After a TCS, we can use the scroll swap followed by a charge from which we can counter the next incoming attack. Don't forget to equip Strongarm Stance on both scrolls before trying this. Another option is to simply recovery cancel using a roll, waiting until your hunter is out of the animation completely, and starting a charge. Be careful not to press the attack button too early, as you'll tackle before charging, which is slightly slower. If you're having trouble with this, push your stick in a direction during the roll, and if your hunter starts to turn in that direction, you're safe to press the attack button. After some practice, you'll be able to do it quickly and consistently. You should always try to counter right before getting hit by an attack, or else you'll miss out on the huge damage bonus from offensive guard, and remember that you can use the hyper armor period after the initial parry to delay your TCS if the monster's weak spot is out of reach. This is what the new optimal switch skill loadout looks like for the vast majority of matchups. Tackle is still better than guard tackle as it does more KO, is a lot more versatile, and the new counter is basically a much better guard tackle anyway. Rage Slash got pushed even more into the background by Strongarm Stance because it lets us guard and hyper armor straight into level 3 TCS now, which was exclusive to Rage Slash before. Charge Slash is better than Surge Slash because it lets us draw into a charge, which is our quickest way to do a counter TCS. Strongarm Stance being extremely balanced should be obvious by this point. As for the last one, unlike Power Sheath, which is versatile and gives us a damage bonus, Backslide is extremely niche and difficult to use. Anything you can punish with Backslide, you can also punish much more easily with a counter TCS, while also dealing more damage. Don't forget to equip this loadout on both scrolls, so you can seamlessly use the recovery cancel trick we showed you earlier in the video. Like we said about Rage Slash in our beginner's guide, there are 2 types of situations when it comes to using Strongarm Stance. When we're fighting against unpredictable monsters with fast attacks, we simply have to start charging as the monster begins its move and start praying. If it does a good move, we can proceed to counter with a TCS. If it's a bad move that we can't properly punish, we'll have to tackle and go back to charging, or sheath our weapon, and hope we get luckier next time. In the second case, we're fighting against a monster with slow attacks and/or predictable attack patterns. In these situations, we can use Strongarm Stance reactively. We can keep our weapon sheathed, and when we notice the monster winding up for a punishable attack, we can draw and counter it. However, it's not always that simple. Some monsters attack with multiple moves in a sequence, so we can't just mindlessly parry everything. We obviously only want to use Strongarm Stance when we can safely follow it up with a TCS punish. Just like we said in our advanced guide, we have to deal with the incoming attacks by avoiding or tackling them, and then counter the last attack of the chain to safely land our TCS on the opening. Avoiding attacks is preferable to tackling them, but in certain situations and against unpredictable monsters, we have no choice but to tank some hits. When we have a long opening like a topple, sleep, or paralysis, we can place a small barrel bomb, start charging with the left stick in neutral, and activate Strongarm Stance right before the explosion for a TCS. Keep in mind that in order to proc offensive guard on the bomb, we need to delay our parry a little bit, or we'll be too early and miss the window. Thanks to all the damage bonuses we can stack on a counter, this is stronger than changing to Adamant Slash or Hunting Edge and landing a combo with those. If the monster topples far away, use Power Sheath to close the gap. This gives us even more damage and sheathes our weapon, letting us quickly place a bomb once we get into position. Wyvern Riding was also changed in Sunbreak, which we can exploit to our advantage. By changing the Wyvern Riding button in the controls menu, we can make it so that the ride won't be triggered by attacks. This lets us do an empowered bomb TCS on rideable monsters for tons of damage. Because of the changes to our weapon's playstyle, we have to reevaluate our armor skill choices. Thanks to the counter immediately putting us into a level 3 TCS, focus is no longer necessary, and we only advise using it in multiplayer or while you're still getting used to Strongarm Stance. Stun Resistance 3 is still very important, of course, and so is Wirebug Whisperer 1, which helps with our triple Wirebug dependency. Weakness Exploit, Critical Boost, and Critical Eye remain our highest priority damage skills, newly joined by Offensive Guard. If we have slots left, we can increase our Raw further with Attack Boost and Agitator, which also gives us affinity. Diversion is also a good investment as you want the monster to be targeting you in order to utilize the counter. Bloodright is a new skill that works well with GS as it lets you lifesteal from broken parts, helping us counteract all the chip damage. The new raw boosting skills such as Dereliction, Bloodlust, and Mail of Hellfire are very strong, but they're rather risky, so we don't recommend using them unless you're speedrunning or really know what you're doing. When it comes to multiplayer, Flinch Free 1 is still mandatory. As for the new Rampage decos, our best options are the anti-species ones, which increase our damage by 5 to 10% on specific monster types. Now let's talk about buddies. In Sunbreak, we recommend bringing one Palico and one Palamute with you on hunts. The cat abilities have become a lot more relevant to our weapons since the base game. Here's our recommended loadout for them. The Nargacuga Greatsword with its high affinity is no longer the king, so the Fighter Cat's Rousing Roar has gained a lot of value. The Summeown Endemic Life ability lets your cat call in wirebugs periodically, which is extremely useful for weapons that rely on double wirebug moves. As for the skills, our best options are still Status, KO, and Damage or Affinity. Make sure to set their behavior to large first, so they don't go off chasing small monsters. The dog's got a new best in slot gear item called the Palamute Silkbinder. This ballista fires piercing bolts that deal a lot of damage, status, and build the Wyvern Ride meter. We recommend using this with either the Flurry Strike or Throw Arm Scrolls, and speccing your Palamute for ranged combat like this. Use a follow behavior to make your dog stay close to you and get more pierce opportunities on the monster. Sunbreak gave us the ability to freely customize our buddy skills, so you should have no problem making the perfect friends. That's the end of the video. We hope you found it useful. We've referred to our previous guides a couple of times, so make sure to check those out if you haven't already. The link will be in the description. Like and subscribe if you wish to support us. Thanks for watching, and see you around, hunters. Charged plunging thrust.